My name is Marvin Jones, and my first team on is violent video games make kids more violent. And my evidence is many scientists study clearly shows that violent video games make kids more violent to yell, make kids likely to yell, push, and punch. My second team on is violent video games are harmful to kids. My evidence is, regardless of what kids say, violent video games are harmful. My third one is, violent video games and TV shows set your mind to be more violent in the future. My evidence is, boys who watch violent TV shows grow up to be 3 times as likely to commit crimes. Go, Jermaine. Come on, Jermaine.
Let's go.
My name is Jermaine. I'm doing a debate speech. My first one is, not everyone who plays violent video games become violent, because my evidence says not everyone who plays violent video games become violent. My second one is, there are other reasons that kids become violent, because my evidence says I play most violent video games and I haven't been in a fight since I was 12. My third one is, not everyone who watches violent TV shows become violent, because my evidence says that doesn't mean that everyone who watches violent TV programs ended up being violent themselves. It was more likely to happen for some people.
Your first one is, not everyone who plays violent games become violent. My first question is, so what about the other kids who do become violent by playing video games?
Maya, you have 30 seconds to prepare for an answer.
It could be other reasons they became violent, like problems at home or mental issues.
The second one is, there are other reasons why they are violent. My second question is, how do you know that there are other reasons to make a kid violent?
Maya, you have 30 seconds to answer.
How do you know that there are other reasons to make a kid violent?
I know there are other reasons, because most kids don't go around killing people and getting into a lot of fights because they play the violent video games.
The third one is, violent video games help kids stop being violent. My third question is, how does it help kids stop being violent if they're playing a violent video game?
It helps them stop being violent because they get to let all their anger out in the video game instead of doing it on real people.
My question is towards stop getting violence is, how do you know that kids will do something like steal, like sell drugs or kill?
Team, stop getting violence. You have 30 seconds. How you want to answer the question?
Because they see it in games, and maybe because it's adults in games, they might think that it's like this, but that's their role model to do that. So they may follow that again.
Last cross-examiner, Gabe.
My question is, why do you think that violent video games make kids more violent? How don't you know that they already have violence in their mind already?
30 seconds to answer the question.
I think that because in the text it says, regardless of what kids say, violent video games are harmful to kids. So what that means is, regardless, that's right, they do come out violent, but it can make them more violent because of the game. Your first one says that not everyone who plays violent video games becomes violent. Actually, everyone who plays violent video games becomes violent because they are the ones who push and put their hands on people.
Well, actually, most tests show that violent video games can reduce stress and depression. The test that they used was to see if non-violent games can reduce the stress or not, or depression, or both, which they couldn't.
Second attack, please.
Your second word says that there are other ways kids become violent. And I disagree because when they're children, they probably play violent video games, and sometimes the games have drugs and abuse and stuff like that.
Well, with most people, what can make kids violent is drug abuse because they're addicted to it, or they can have a rough home life where they get beaten and abused and they think that it's okay to do that to other people, or they have issues put up in their head and they have issues put up in the head and then they think that stuff's okay when they see other people doing it. So they could see violence going around other places and they could think it's okay to do that.
Your third one says that violent video games help kids stop being violent. Actually, if they play the game and they lose, they will actually be more violent and they will want to go do it.
Well, studies actually shows that it's not violent video games that make kids violent. It's actually difficult games that make kids violent.
Video games are harmful to kids. My take is, how are video games harmful to kids? We play video games and we don't go around killing people or stealing cars.
Video games are harmful to kids, I think, because in the text it says, regardless of what kids say, video games are harmful.
There are other reasons why children become violent, such as drugs, abuse, rough home, and peer pressure. Violent video games can stop kids from being violent. My strongest point is there are other reasons children become violent, such as drugs, abuse, rough homes, life, peer pressure. It's the strongest because violent video games do not always harm kids. Sometimes kids are already damaged by the people and neighborhood they are living around. And also video games can just calm people down by the life they live in. If drugs abuse or continue, maybe that's the reason.